The future has arrived in France. With bidirectional charging and vehicle-to-grid technology, electric car owners are earning extra money. With this new technology, people driving electric cars in France can easily rake in €350. In Germany, it would be double that amount. A German car manufacturer is making a special offer to its customers. Customers can charge up to 14,000 kilometers per year free of charge. They can drive for free. In the Netherlands, bidirectional charging, or vehicle-to-grid, is accelerating the development of an entire city.
Vehicle-to-grid reinforces the energy transitions.
It helps for the economic development of the city as well, yeah.
Utrecht is a city known not only for its old town and tranquil canals. It is also one of the most economically successful regions in the Netherlands. Forecasts predict strong population growth in Utrecht for the coming years, up to 25% by the year 2040. We're on the 20th floor of the city's administration building. The politicians and city employees who work here are concerned about the consequences of growth.
I think that vehicle-to-grid or bidirectional charging is actually very important for the city of Utrecht. And that's because we have a big problem with grid congestion as well.
Eva Oosters is a member of the city board, and she has a difficult problem to solve. Due to the rapid growth of the city, the local power grid is often overloaded. The bottlenecks in the power supply jeopardize construction projects and business development. One option is to store electrical energy in large stationary batteries on site. But her colleague Matthijs Kok has another idea.
So why put other stationary battery, for instance, there? You need to buy extra battery capacity, extra materials. The cars are there, so why not use the car for storage?
As in almost all Dutch cities, most people travel in Utrecht with their bicycles. Houses and apartments do not usually have their own parking spaces or underground garages for cars. Public parking spaces are also scarce. Car sharing is therefore popular. This involves a number of drivers sharing a pool of cars. Matthijs Kok also uses this service. Once the journey is over, the electric cars routinely return to the grid.
Now it's unloading. So you see it turns backwards. So then the unloading starts, and also inside you can see if the green panel goes like this, it's unloading, and if it goes like that, it's loading. Now it gives back electricity to the grid, exactly 11 kilowatts. So it's supporting the neighborhood with its energy.
Okay.
And that's maybe because it's now early evening, yeah. So now people start coming home and they have energy demand, and then it can deliver energy back into the grid.
There is a reason why Matthijs Kok is pleased that the electric car is being discharged rather than charged. More than a third of all houses in Utrecht have solar panels. As a result, when the sun shines during the day, the local power grid can become overloaded. The car-sharing vehicles not currently in use utilize this surplus electricity to charge their batteries. This reduces the load on the grid. By evening, the vehicle's batteries are fully charged. After the sun has set, the solar modules no longer produce any electricity. Now, some of the electrical energy from the batteries can flow back into the grid and be used locally. In Utrecht, there are several hundred car-sharing vehicles that feed electricity into the grid and then recharge. And intelligent software ensures that a vehicle within the range the driver requires is always available. But it's not just solar power that is stored in the batteries of electric cars.
If we have a lot of wind on the North Sea, we generate a lot of energy from the windmills on the North Sea, and then the energy prices is low, so we start charging the cars with low energy prices, and when the energy prices go high again, we discharge the car, and you make money from charging and discharging the car. If the electricity price of the car is cheaper, the car for sharing becomes cheaper and more people can use it.
Bidirectional charging not only reduces the costs of car sharing, it also reduces the costs of the energy transition. If offshore wind parks supply a lot of electricity at night, it flows into the city via the power grid. The electricity flows from transformer stations through the distribution network to the individual city districts. These small substations tend to be a bottleneck in the grid. At night, however, the transformer stations are underutilized. In the distribution network, the surplus and therefore inexpensive wind power now charges the electric cars. During the day, some of the energy that has been stored can be used locally. In winter, for example, it can be used to operate heat pumps. There is a simple and advantageous logic to this. Although more heat pumps will be installed in the future due to the energy transition, and more people will be driving electric cars, meaning more electricity will flow through the grid infrastructure itself will not need to be significantly expanded. A computer simulation showed that bidirectional charging would significantly reduce the number of transformer stations that need to be built in Utrecht, despite the increased demand for electrical energy required for the energy transition.
Because we have the bidirectional cars, we need 800 less powerhouses in our city. This saves room, saves money and saves material and keeps the energy transition going.
And not just the energy transition is supported. The new Merwede district is home to apartments and houses urgently needed in this rapidly growing city. Given the grid bottlenecks, growth is theoretically impossible. However, since this district will also have parking spaces for 1,000 car-sharing vehicles with bidirectional charging, more electrical power will be available locally.
We can enlarge the transport capacity from 5 megawatts to 10 megawatts, which is really helpful to make this new neighborhood, to build this new neighborhood. Otherwise it would have not been possible to build 10,000 houses, but only 5,000 houses.
In this new neighborhood, the batteries of electric cars will be integrated into an intelligent energy management system. During the day, solar power can flow into the batteries. And if the local grid is not currently at full capacity, inexpensive wind power from elsewhere can also be utilized. If there is no sun and no wind, no electricity will flow into the batteries. Instead, some of the energy that had been stored can be fed back into the grid. The result is a win-win situation. The neighborhood now has twice as much electrical power available for residents. This means that twice as many apartments and houses can be built in the Merwede district as would have been possible without bidirectional charging. Utrecht's energy managers and political leaders are ecstatic.
For the economic development, but also for houses, utilities like schools and sports centers, we really need this extra energy or a better level of energy throughout the day. And vehicle to grid and bidirectional charging can really help with that. So we are really benefiting from it as a city as well. Yeah.
In Utrecht, wind and solar energy are used intelligently. This energy management not only makes driving electric vehicles cheaper, but also reduces the costs of implementing the energy transition. Ultimately, it ensures faster and more sustainable growth for the city. This kind of efficient energy management is precisely what the Netherlands want to implement across the whole country. An important prerequisite for this is that not only car-sharing vehicles must be technically capable of bidirectional charging, but ultimately all electric cars. In order for the system to function, every private electric vehicle in the Netherlands should be able to communicate with public charging stations. To make this technically feasible, all of the Dutch network operators are working together in a joint innovation lab. Here they are developing the digital standards that will enable this complex communication.
Now we're testing it with all the different manufacturers in the different sectors if they comply to these standards. So EV drivers know it's safe but also cyber secure. The target is full phase out of combustion engines, so everything will be electrified.
In the Netherlands, private parking spaces or underground parking spaces are the exception rather than the rule. Around 70% of cars are parked on the street. Network operators would prefer to have only 4 to 5 electric vehicles sharing one charging station. This dense network will then ensure that electric vehicles stabilize the power grid in the event of fluctuating wind and solar power supplies.
Otherwise, we have congestion on the grids, higher costs for EV drivers. Well, if it's an open market with open standards and protocols, we can reduce the load on the grid, and we hopefully can make it affordable for everyone.
Not only will car sharing become more affordable, but owners of private electric vehicles will also be able to earn money directly through bidirectional charging. This is already the case in France. Here, owners of electric cars from a domestic manufacturer can connect their vehicles to special wall boxes at home. The longer the vehicles are connected, the more money is earned. This dividend is provided by a Munich-based energy service provider. The Mobility House Energy is a business that trades the capacity of a number of kinds of French electric car batteries on an electricity exchange, specifically created for this purpose. Customers now have the opportunity to earn 350 euros per year in France with bidirectional charging. Individual battery capacity is traded on the energy market. That can earn you about 10,000 kilometers for free. You don't have to do anything different when you come home, just plug in and revenue is earned. Electricity generated by French vehicles is traded on an electricity exchange in Paris. Here, producers and energy traders from many European countries offer electricity. The amount of electricity on offer must match the amount currently in demand, otherwise disruptions in the grid will occur. However, it can happen that companies generating electricity produce more or less energy than they sold on the exchange the day before for a specific period of time. A wind farm operator, for example, may suddenly produce slightly more energy than predicted if wind is stronger than expected. And if the sun shines a little less, a solar park operator may suddenly produce far less energy. The wind farm operator suddenly has more electricity to offer. And the solar park operator requires a bit more electricity. Since electric vehicles can draw electrical energy from the grid very quickly and release it just as quickly, the Munich-based energy service provider can accept both offers. Oversupply is usually cheaper than energy which is in demand. The Mobility House in Munich earns money, among other things, from this difference. The key point is that only the difference between the two offers is fed into the electric vehicles. That is, not the full 10 megawatt hours from the wind farm, but just the 2 megawatt hours resulting from the difference. Only every 7th to 10th kilowatt hour actually flows through the car battery. The car battery is hardly used at all. The car manufacturers were like, cool, yes, then I don't need to worry, my battery won't age as quickly. It's actually good for the battery to be cycled a little. Plus, we can pass on the revenue we generate from this to electric car drivers. What is more important is that we can integrate more renewable energies as a result. The Munich-based energy service provider also earns money with electric vehicles because it can charge the batteries when electricity prices are low and sell the energy later at a higher price on the exchange. Experts see huge potential for bidirectional charging in Germany as well. the technology could also significantly reduce the costs of the energy transition. I already have the electric car, it's paid for, I just have to plug it in. The batteries have so many cycles that I can't even drive them away. That means I've already paid for my storage space in my garage. I just have to connect it and hook it up to the market. Starting in 2026, this option will also be available in Germany. An automobile manufacturer is teaming up with an energy supplier to offer bi-directional charging in this country too. If the electric car is connected to the wall box at home for an average of 8 hours a day, the owner receives the following. The customer receives a payment of 24 cents for every hour their vehicle is connected to the wall box. This can add up to as much as 60 euros per month and up to 720 euros per year. With this offer, the customer can charge up to 14,000 kilometers per year free of charge, and thus drive for free. It is by no means a given that this technology will take root due to the particularities in the German system. When electricity flows into an electric vehicle, taxes and grid fees are incurred. Part of the electricity then flows back into the grid during the bidirectional charging. Although this technology supports the energy transition, taxes and grid fees must be paid again when recharging. This is not the case in other European countries, such as France. If there were regulatory changes and if this issue could be resolved, that would mean a significant boost to electric mobility as a whole in Germany. That would be important. If the appropriate legal framework for bidirectional charging were created in Germany, this would speed up the process of this technology becoming more established. Then electric cars would also be able to make intelligent use of solar and wind energy. This would not only reduce the overall cost of the energy transition, it would also give e-mobility a significant boost.